Hello and welcome to Unverified. I'm your host, Simba, joined by your usual cohorts, Isaac, aka Mechanic Gamer.
Hello.
Connor, aka Conflict Strat.
Hi, did you just call us cohorts?
And Simi, but you may know him better as Tamago247.
I'm sorry, was that on purpose?
Was what on purpose?
Calling us cohorts again?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought you accidentally did it.
I thought it was an accident. That's why I broke up.
What do you mean again?
Yeah, what do you mean again? This is the first take.
This is a one-take show.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
we
You're
both.
right.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I think I just had like deja vu.
No
Yeah.
worries, it happens. Anyways, I first things first, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, just to get out the way. What do your guys' doorknobs taste like?
What? Did you just ask?
You know your doorknob or handle? Yeah, sorry, semantics. What does it taste like?
Oh, handle. Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't confused about, the concept of doorknobs or handles. Like, why would we know what our doorknobs taste like?
Isn't licking doorknobs just like a common thing? I thought everyone just did that.
Why does licking doorknobs ring a bell for me?
What, simply, have you done it in the past?
Does it ring a doorknob?
Yeah, do you
You don't ring doorknobs, Simba.
have a sensor?
Yeah, not quite.
Is
My
that-
one was
is-
better, Simba.
Is there any chance because does it involve Japanese women, Simi?
Huh?
What?
Okay, now I'm being dragged into something I don't know about. No. I don't know what my doorknob tastes like. I mean, if we're talking about the doorknob leading into my house, it's gonna taste metallic.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the one leading into my room, it will probably also taste metallic, but
Yeah.
maybe a bit of plastic in there too.
Probably tastes like beer.
Beer.
Yeah, Corona.
You're an idiot.
Isaac, what does your doorknob taste like?
Probably like a metal spoon. Probably
Metal
similar
spoon.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably metal spoon or like copper coins, something like that, I would presume.
I couldn't tell you what my doorknob tastes like.
That's why we said probably Simba, because we don't
We
know.
said
Don't act
probably.
I
we
couldn't
know.
even guess. That's just beyond my kind of personal ideals. But I should probably explain myself here a little bit. So today I was scrolling through the internet. I wasn't even scrolling. I needed a reference image for something I was working on. So I typed in Japanese doorknob. Now you can play along with it at home. If you type in Japanese doorknob, you might expect to find doorknobs on doors made in Japan.
Huh.
Right.
Interesting.
No, like I said, play along at home.
Yeah, I've
But-
done the same thing.
But
He is correct.
I was in the middle of doing my work and looking for a Japanese doorknob as a reference. I was greeted by multiple images of Japanese ladies seductively licking doorknobs.
Yeah, that's my question, Simba, because I just did the same in Google because I was curious. And why is there more than one? But it's more than one person doing this.
It's the majority of the search results, actually. Now, I was just looking for a doorknob. I kind of got thrown into a whole lot. Now, does anybody know why there's pictures of Japanese women licking doorknobs?
Bruv, I'm looking at this and I don't understand. I just don't understand. My first question is, why were you looking for specifically Japanese doorknobs?
I was doing a 3D render. I was doing a 3D model, and the reference and the whole scene had like a Japanese vibe to it. So I was like,
Right.
I want to see what doorknobs look like in Japan to reference and model off. You know what I mean? So I have an image there, so I can use that as a reference for the model I was doing. And then I got a little bit more than just the doorknob. So
That's such a perfect situation because I feel like anyone who searches this knows what they're getting into, right? Because why would you search Japanese doorknobs? So your situation is just perfect. This would have been like such a shock.
No,
as
it
it is
was.
to me right now.
I was sitting it was it was like 7:00 this morning or something like that, and I'm sitting there, I'm typing in I'm like when you get into a flow state, so you're just doing it, you're just working. And I go and type in, and I was like, oh, okay, let me make this doorknob. I was like, oh, let me try and make it accurate, right? So I opened up Google.com, go to Google, type in Japanese doorknob, expecting some doorknobs, and then I'm just like, I just see all these pictures of women seductively licking doorknobs, and I was like, it's far too early in the morning for me to be dealing with all of this right now. I'm like, I'm going to find the least seductive picture and use that to model off my image and just carry on with my day.
See, Simba, the wildest thing is I'm literally Googling every country which I can think of, and none of them, apart from Japan, have these results.
I think I found its origins, though, to be fair.
I did find its origins, actually.
Oh, did you? Okay, let me see if it's the same as what I just found. So I think this would have been like a year, at least maybe 2 years ago from what I'm seeing here. But there's a challenge thing a while ago where it's like, oh, can we paint chocolate really freaking well and see if it's a real life object or if it's chocolate? And then people would go around biting it to see if it's chocolate or not. And then it's like, oh, look, apparently there's a bunch of celebrities doing this challenge in Japan like 2 years ago, specifically doorknobs.
Now, Connor, those celebrities are late because these images are from like 2011.
See, but how? Wait, where's this from? Oh, you see, this is 2014.
People been licking doorknobs in Japan. This ain't nothing new. The chocolate thing is just a new reason.
Why though?
Right.
I tried to save you, Japan, but no.
Licking knobs, I get it. It's a metaphor.
Clipping that.
What? No, that's it. That's gotta be it,
No,
right?
he's right. Have you seen the pictures? What else are they doing?
Bro, still, just
I'm not
saying
gonna
it,
lie.
it's like-
I now realize that things have been awakened in me that I didn't want to be awakened in me now. I'm like, well, this is where we are. You know?
What, do you want one of them to lick your doorknob, Simba? Oh god, I need to stop.
Yeah, you do. You really do need to stop.
That'd be pretty basic. Like, what if you hired an escort and then you're like, just lick the doorknob seductively? That's all I want.
We cannot be talking about escorts twice in a row on the podcast.
And they come up a lot.
They shouldn't.
Hey, man, what do you mean? They're a line of work, just like firefighters and policemen, okay?
It's a public service.
Sometimes you need an escort.
I'm just thinking what else you could ask them to lick. Window sills, light switches.
I mean, see me, I'm even seeing pictures of some of them. I'm seeing images of some of them licking just like walls of like toilets and stuff, so.
Huh. This is odd behavior, but I'm not gonna act like I fully understand the culture here. So I'm gonna leave them to it. You can lick your doorknobs, probably not in this climate.
I was gonna say, not now. don't be doing that.
But
Look.
give it 5 years for all of this to have fully died down and get back to it.
Oh, yeah, and then just start like germing everything after everything's finally calmed down.
Fully get back to it.
Perfect.
It's your right. As long as you own the doorknob, it has to be your house. Don't be licking my doorknob, please.
To anti-back doorknobs now, just out of like absolute fear that someone's coming licked it.
Bro, actually, Connor's got a point, but that's wild. Like, imagine if you're just like at home and like you decide to get delivery or something. You don't know if that person outside who's delivering to you has just licked your doorknob before,
That's wild.
You just coat all of your doorknobs in cyanide just in case.
Yo, that's
the
wild.
Domino's has been here for 5 minutes. He's been out there for 15 minutes licking your doorknob.
Did anybody hear what Simi just said?
No, what did Simi say?
Wait, what?
Simi said just coat your doorknobs in cyanide. Yo.
It's not that radical an idea.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Some may say the most radical idea.
It's not. It's
He had
not
an
really.
opportunity to dig himself out and said cyaniding people who want to lick doorknobs isn't radical.
It's not. Listen, it's only gonna kill people who decide to lick my doorknob.
Or touch it and then touch their face.
No,
Either or, really.
Yeah, poor little Timmy just was trying to open the door and now he's fucking dead.
Just don't ingest it, alright? Just don't ingest it. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm
Kids
gonna
are
say.
stupid. They're gonna touch the doorknob and then just start like eating the hand and then you
Yes,
kill
I mean,
the
like, say
kid.
like they go to open your door and like later on they decide to eat like a hot dog, something which you eat with your hands. You just killed someone. That's manslaughter.
Is cyanide that fatal? Does it transfer that easily though?
If you've coated your doorknob in it, I'm sure it's gonna fucking end somebody.
Okay, so then my question is, if I've coated my doorknob in it and someone just regularly handles it, right? They're gonna notice it on their hand, right? So then they'll be like, oh crap, what is this? All right, they'll wash their hands. If someone's come up, they've decided to assault my doorknob by licking it, it's gonna be too late before they realize what's going on. And so they would have deserved it because who told them to lick my doorknob?
My mind just went places, Yo, if you wanted to really put somebody down, if you get a liquid cyanide and just like coat all their fucking utensils in it.
Alright, see, now you're talking about just straight up murder. I'm talking about defense. I'm talking about a security system. This guy is plotting murders here.
No, but Simba, see, the issue with that, the issue is that even if you do kill them, then there's still evidence that they were murdered, not just that, they died from
police
some
only
random
catch
thing.
people if you know the person. I'm gonna go do this to someone random.
Bruv. See, you're calling me the monster.
Why someone
Okay, yes.
random though?
For the sport.
For the sport.
Yeah.
Watch Simba cut that out, but keep Mao on it.
I
mean, like-
Oh, Simba ain't cutting nothing. That's staying in.
I mean, like Connor, like if he does it to enough people, though, he could become like the next Jack the Ripper, just like a random serial killer going around, coating people's utensils in cyanide, but like
yes.
never caught. He could go down in history. You're not going down in history. I think Simba's onto something here.
The cutlery dispenser.
Well, I feel we are overestimating how easy it is to acquire cyanide.
Isn't it just like orange
If you get enough apple
seeds or something
seeds,
like
then-
that? You apple
You only
seeds. That's
need, like,
apple seeds crushed,
a
and then you can.
Stupendous amount of them, though, I swear.
Yes, you do. It's a stupid amount. Like, if you wanted to actually kill someone with cyanide from apple seeds, you would need more apple seeds than their body mass. So,
Now I'm just imagining someone who has like a 70-year revenge plan on someone who bullied them in primary school, and they're like,
Step
I'm gonna
one.
grow an entire field
an
of
entire
apple
orchard
trees.
of apples.
to kill you.
just to get back at you when we're both 80 years old.
But, like, imagine if you were the person who's committing to that, bro, and then the person who you're trying to kill just goes and gets run over at, like, the age of, 30. Like, bruh, you just ruined my entire plan.
That must suck. Having that taken away from you if you had a revenge plan like that. Then
Yeah.
they just go and
Such good.
accident themselves into Switzerland and etc.
Okay, well, on the note of revenge, is there anything that you guys feel like you are still passionate about in life? Or do you feel like rather you're losing passion about things at all? Is that a thing that you guys are noticing as you're getting older?
For me, like, yes and no. So, for example, when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, when I'm older, I want to start a business and stuff. But now, as I'm growing up, I'm questioning whether I even want to do those things in the first place, and also questioning, like, the reality of those things and how much effort I would need to put in to get out the result that I want. And basically, it's like becoming more realistic in a mindset and keying down on a few things rather than going, I want to do everything, is probably more what's happened to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as I've gone older, it's not so much a loss of passion, because I look back, there was a lot of novelty when I was younger. A lot of things I was doing was about it being the first time I was doing that, so there was that intrigue. And then there's also just generally being in the school system, which puts you in such a structure where it's like you're doing these same things over and over again. And I found that when you do something repeatedly, you kind of just grow to like it, even if you initially didn't. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome in a way.
Bruh.
Well, yeah.
But I found that being outside of that structure, when, you get to do whatever you want and what you do is literally up to you, now you have far more options than you did before. And so it kind of feels like you're not doing as many things as you would enjoy, or you're not enjoying what you're doing as much,
Yeah, I get that.
Get that.
What about you, Connor?
Me? I feel like there's some things that I'm still passionate about, but I had like quite a lot of hobbies when I was younger and stuff, and it's slowly becoming more refined to things that I actually enjoy doing and will continue to like doing long-term wise.
Well, it's that specialization versus like generalization type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was actually watching this really good video on that topic. It's from a YouTube channel called The Future. I say future because it's future, but without an E. The kind of point he makes is you want to become somebody who's known for being really amazing at one thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't be good at other things. So it's the idea of being specialized externally, but being generalized internally. So, for instance, if you're a graphic designer, be a specialized graphic designer, be a typographer. And that let people know you as a typographer. But on the side, you can be, learning music production,
and doing a bunch
3D
of
design, cinematography, photography. And the actually really interesting thing, and I've noticed this as well about that he points out, is that when you specialize in one field like that, in one area, people assume that you're good at everything else. Like if you're an amazing typographer, and then you're like, oh yeah, I also do 3D design, people are going to be like, well, he's really good at this one thing. He's probably great at graphic design. And so long as you're okay enough, people will give you the credit for it. But I think a lot of people are in that fucking stuck rat place.
I think it would be really difficult to separate yourself like that. I think if you could achieve it in to be in that sort of state, then that would be fantastic. But I think it would be really difficult to get yourself to a point where you professionally want to do one thing and generally want to learn how to do a bunch of other stuff as kind of like a hobby, I suppose.
The problem is it's figuring it out. And this is a thing that I've noticed that people our age genuinely have a problem with, is we think it's done. We get to like 22 and like, oh shit, guys, I think it's too late for me. I've had a good run. But it's time to pack in the bags. But I'm always telling my friends, it's like you spend the 20s are supposed to be the time which you figure it out. And I think a lot of people, they worry, and I think it's hard for them to get into that specialization mindset, is my own personal take on it, is because like they're worried, they feel like they have to figure it out straight away. So like, let's say for instance, you want to specialize in something. You're like, yo, I'm really good at writing, right, Connor? But then you're like, you feel now the pressure to make writing the thing. And like, you're like, you hold on to it because you're like, I have to be good at this now. I don't have enough time. It's like, you can find out you're okay at writing, but like fucking next year you could be like, I'm going to be a professional canoer.
That is an interesting career path.
I'm sure there's
that would be
banking
quite
canoeing.
interesting.
Hey man, he could get like the gold medal for like Olympic canoeing. Wait, is canoeing even an Olympic sport?
I doubt it.
I don't think it is.
Canoeing to me just feels more relaxing than kayaking.
Yeah, it's leisure, isn't it? It's not like sport, I don't think.
Maybe you
but hey, don't let your
sport.
dreams be dreams.
Yeah, man, make it an Olympic sport, dude.
Hey Connor, you could make the canoeing the canoeing grand tournament.
You get rated on how chill and tranquil your trip was. What will happen is you have like a couple that's in the canoe eating a lovely candlelit dinner, and then they rate you at the end of it, and the highest rated gets the gold medal.
That's Uber. Look for canoes.
I'm cutting that.
I thought that was gold.
Yeah, I'm cutting it because I'm keeping it.
Canuba.
Canuba, dude.
Yo, my mind just went there.
Wait, what would you call them? A canuba driver?
Canubas.
Canuba rower.
Canubras.
Rower. That doesn't roll off the tongue.
Canubros.
Since they're on water, would they be like canoe sailors or?
Nah, bro, they're canoobs.
They're canoes. With a Z.
With the Z.
Stop.
Yo.
Stop.
Canoeing for
Canuba.
gamers, dude.
Canoeing for gamers.
Would you like to have a romantic candlelit dinner
with
a
angles?
gamer girl in a canoe?
With angles. The ergonomic design of the canoe.
With angles and RGB. Would you like to have an RGB lit dinner?
Why not also with dubstep playing in the background as well?
Perfect.
Isaac just showed us a boomer. Who the fuck listens to dubstep in 2020?
Okay.
That is a bit of a mood.
Dubstep
Nah,
died.
Connor, you agreed with him. You're also showing your boomer. I heard you.
No.
That was a genre of music. I've never seen a genre of music just flat out die like that. Dubstep freaking died.
It came and it went so fast.
Like, people realized, wait a minute, this sucks.
Wait a minute.
Where it was
this
like,
just
it all
isn't
sounds
good.
the same. Wow.
Pretty much.
This is amazing. No, I'm no dubstep connoisseur, so maybe somebody who's deep into dubstep can tell me the difference, but it all sounds fucking the same to me, really.
I mean, because it is the same Simba, basically. It's the same keys on the soundboard you usually miss at the time, so yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And that viewpoint of mine will stay the same. But speaking on the topic of viewpoints, like, is there anything in your lives as growing up that you've noticed has just like changed really drastically? Like, obviously, as you grow up, things are gonna fucking adjust and things. But is there anything that's like really specifically, like you were like, yo, I did not expect myself to go down this path of like thinking and stuff?
I used to be fairly optimistic, and I feel like I kind of approach everything very, very pessimistic now. I wouldn't say that I expected that to happen, really.
What were like any examples of why you feel you're so pessimistic?
I don't know. That's the truth, unfortunately. I honestly don't know. It's just kind of, one day it just kind of all flipped and everything was just like, grr, I don't like this anymore. I think it developed from like a hipster sort of mindset there where it's like, only like these things that no one else likes. And then obviously, naturally, nothing is undiscovered really, like not for long anyway.
No.
Eventually, everything's kind of popular and then it's like, grr.
That's interesting. Well, I wonder if that's just part of that whole, like, I guess the pessimistic thing is, it goes back to that point of like becoming more cynical. I guess realistic is kind of a good way that Isaac put it.
It's like there's like a filter that stops you from seeing like life. And then at some point it just kind of like gets lifted and you're like,
Well,
wow.
I feel like this keys back to Simi's previous point of like when you're younger, like everything basically since almost everything you see is new, so you're filled with this sense of wonder. And as you age, that sense of wonder starts to disappear. So you're no longer like, oh, this is really cool because it's new. You're now like, actually, this kind of sucks. Like actually. And then,
pretty much.
And then from there, you just decide whether you fall on the side of like absolute nihilism of nothing matters, or whether you stand on the side of like realism, where you're like, well, it doesn't matter, but like I'll make of it the best I can. Or
that's interesting. It's like, because I understand getting older and then generally having a less optimistic viewpoint simply because you're not as naive as you were when you were younger.
Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't say I'm like pessimistic to the point where I've surprised myself. So would you say like you're actually surprised at how pessimistic your mindset is?
In comparison, yeah, for definite, I would. Like, it was just generally more like, you know, you kind of wisen up and you were kind of, I don't know, not gullible as such, but kind of gullible, I suppose, like, because like when you're younger, but it is more than that, I suppose. Definitely more cynical as well on the other point. I think most people are, I suppose, around our age, maybe. Maybe that's a bit too much to say for everyone, but I'd say that just naturally, well, like the sort of stuff that we grow up with, people probably are.
I don't know. For me, I would say like there's a few viewpoints that have changed quite dramatically. I think my viewpoints on relationships is probably a big one, as we've discovered slowly but surely.
As we have.
I have interesting takes on how relationships work, at least for myself. Which I guess like I probably wouldn't have seen that coming. The development wasn't quite like as a shock. It was kind of a progression. But it's taken some interesting turns. There was like a point where I had this kind of weird turnaround, just like to the whole perception, my perception towards like bad things happening, that whole turned around, and also like what to care about as well. And that was a big one. I've noticed that I'm much less of what I like to term a Hillandi.
Hillandi.
Mountainous Andrew.
A mountainous Andrew.
As Simba would say.
As Simba would say. I am Simba and I would say that.
Simba has coined.
And that's different to a hillbilly.
Not even on the same spectrum.
Oh my God, yeah, why didn't they go for that? What?
Not even the same spectrum at all.
Okay.
Who's they? I came up with the term.
No, but the Hillandi, why didn't they go with hillbilly? I never even thought about that.
I came up with Hillandi.
Who's they? Yeah.
I came up with Hillandi. That was me.
I mean, Simba, would you like to define
the audience
what a Hillandi
you
is?
did. Andy. I was thinking then. That's why. That makes sense.
In my in my ever-growing attempts to be down and hip with the kids, I learned the lingo, and I learned that Andy is something that people like to put as a suffix when referring to people. So I was like, let's say I thought you were a Chad, I'd call you a Chad Andy. You know what I mean? Or let's say Simi, you're big into tennis, I'd call you a tennis Andy, right?
Okay. Is this a play on the streamers who are called Andy?
It's a Twitch thing. I don't really understand it perfectly, but yes.
Yeah.
Something along
it's because
those lines.
there are like 3 big streamers who are all called Andy. Okay. And so one of them is called like the fat Andy, the this Andy, the that Andy. Okay. That makes sense.
All right. So I was, in my ever-growing attempt to be down with the kids, be hip, be cool, like I am, of course. I decided to come up with a new brand spanking term, which I like to call Hillandi. And basically, everyone is a Hillandi, really, right? That's the first thing we need to understand. It's just everybody is a Hillandi in different places. Because basically, being a Hillandi is less of a character trait, but it's more of a specific feeling towards something, right? So let's say, Simi, you are really, really cared about tennis. Let's say specifically you're like a really big fan of Roger Federer or something, right?
Right.
And like, let's say we're sitting, right? Let's say we're at a park, right? Me and Connor, bro, we're talking about Roger Federer, bro. Did you see that? Did you see that tennis game? Roger Federer was ass, right?
Yeah, man. That was wild.
Simi would teleport, be like, what? Ass? Who? Your ass. and then, he would fervently tell us exactly why we're wrong. And then, I don't know, lace out doorknobs with cyanide or something. Right?
Okay, so a Hillandi is meant to refer to, like, basically, well, it refers to everyone, but it's like the specific thing which that person is almost obsessive about.
Yeah, like that, the thing that you would like, if there was an argument going, like you would be willing to fight about it. If there was an argument going on, you'd be willing to fight.
There you say the hill that they would die on.
Hence, Hillandi. So now that I've explained Hillandi, I've now noticed I am pretty much not a Hillandi about anything. I can't find anything that I'm willing. Like there is stuff that I'm like, I'll hear it and it annoys me. I'm like, this is not worth the argument. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
But didn't you just say that everyone is a Hillandi, Simba? So you just like broke like one of the biggest rules. You're saying you're the exception, Simba.
no, I'm not the exception. I'm sure I'm a Hillandi about something. I just haven't found it yet.
Okay.
So when you say that, is that like just in terms of sort of arguments? Or do you think it goes beyond like verbal arguments? Is there any cause that you would be willing to go to a certain degree of effort to protect or defend or something? Even something like your family.
See, but I don't feel like that counts in the Hillandi.
Yeah, I
category.
don't think that counts because like otherwise in that case like everyone's a Hillandi about
Yeah.
which kind of defeats the purpose, some point of it.
Okay, how about something that affects your family then? Like
No. I guess family's kind of fair. I guess you can be. I guess somewhat of Hillandi about my family, but like if somebody was talking shit, I wouldn't care.
Hands wouldn't start flying is what you're saying basically. So,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, all right, whatever. You know, you feel
I mean,
that
like,
way. That's cool. You know,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't have any causes. I don't think I'm willing to go out on a limb for. At least none that I think I should say right now.
That's a good call right there, Sim. That's a very good call.
Yeah.
That makes me curious as to what you would go out on a limb for then, because you just said none that you would say right now. I'm like, what?
There's some things, you know, you got to maintain an element of mystery sometimes, and
All right,
feel
then
like this.
keep your secrets.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm sure the listeners love the mystery. That's what I come here for, really, the mystery.
If anybody has dug themselves into holes, it is myself. So I'm learning to write this current instance. Don't worry, like give it 20 minutes. But right now, we'll let that one die. But do you guys feel like you're Hillandis about anything? Like, is there anything you guys feel like you are Mountainous Andrews about still?
I'm pretty chill when it comes to strangers on the internet saying things, right? Like if there's an opinion I very much disagree with, but it's from someone I don't know, just posting on the internet, I don't feel compelled to say something. I will have something to say, but I won't feel compelled to actually like write it out and say it, stuff like that.
I get that, I agree.
But when it comes to, you know, let's say I'm having a conversation with someone one-on-one, someone I care about, or even if I'm having a conversation with someone and then they say something and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's all right. Or at least they have a mindset that I would disagree with and I think it's worth expressing how I feel, then yeah, I will be, I suppose, a Hillandi about it.
I get that. I used to agree with that mindset. And I'd say as a Hillandi. Do you know what made me stop being a Hillandi in that regards to me?
What?
I learned this very important rule. Take out your notebooks, kids. Because this one's
people don't change.
This is from the heart.
Right.
You could probably count on your hand the amount of times somebody's opinion has been changed by an argument or a debate. So I'm like, there's no point. I have no point in me arguing with you because you're not going to learn anything new. I'm not going to learn anything new. And we're both going to walk away the same people with just less time on our hands.
Well, that is a true point. However, there are some nuances that I would say about it.
You can
so, like,
discuss
one
things,
is,
but I never have an argument with someone or like a debate because it's just like, you pretty much are not going to change their mind.
Okay, yeah. Like, if when we say argument, we mean like an actual like heated, you know, shouting, plates flying. I don't do that. That's when it kind of depends. This is one of the nuances. It depends on who I'm talking to. If it's someone where it's like, listen, this is a one-off conversation. We bumped into each other somehow and I'm never going to see you again, then I wouldn't consider that as worth the discussion. But if it's someone that is a friend of mine and then they say something and I'm like, okay, nah. I at least have to let you know what I think, you know? Because I feel like if you don't, you can give the person the impression that you agree. And if everyone around them was like that, they would get the impression that all their friends agreed with whatever mindset they had. And they wouldn't even, you know, whether or not they're going to change, at least if a person knows that they're surrounded by like, or they have at least friends who they respect that disagree with this aspect of something they think about, it can at least get them thinking about, you know, their position. But if no one ever says anything, then they're just going to forever be comfortable in whatever, you know, mindset they were in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd say though, for me, I'd count that less about being a Hillandi about the topic and more about the friend. Because to me, you want to know if we're good friends or not, it depends on whether or not I'm willing to actually discuss something stupid you just said. If you said something real dumb and I just kept quiet,
It's like, yeah, you do you, bro.
yeah, because I'm like, well, because I think it goes back to me for the thing, because I know how much effort it is to actually turn somebody around to another side. And I'm just like, you have to be worth it. Like, you have to be a close friend for me to fucking want to change your mind on something. Which is why, Connor, you need to explain to us why the fuck you think fish can't bump their heads.
Oh my, what a throwback.
Do you want to explain to the class? Or what
Listen, you know, bumping your head.
No, let Connor explain.
Okay.
Come on, present, Connor.
I need to hear this.
Show us your fucking PowerPoint on why fish can't
The
bump
problem is
their
because
heads.
we have slightly discussed this though. Let's face it, and my opinion has slightly changed on it already.
Your opinion has changed.
Okay, I would like to hear your original opinion, though.
Please share.
What was my original opinion was that I didn't think that fish have ever bumped their heads. Like, think about it. All right, how it barely seems likely or possible for a fish to bump its head in the middle of the ocean, right?
Okay, so thinking about that, I can see where Connor's coming from, because I did not consider the concept of a fish bumping its head until just now.
Exactly. So they spring that.
I don't think anybody does, but it's one of those things where it's like...
No, because they were like, oh, what if a stone
suspension.
falls from, like, the sky and falls onto the fish in the water? It's like, it hits the water, it slows down. And have you ever tried to, like, press two things together in water? Because it just doesn't happen. They go past
What
each
do you mean
other.
it doesn't happen?
So I just assumed that would happen with fish.
This is making more sense the more he talks.
No, it doesn't.
Like, I don't agree with it, but it's making more sense.
Exactly.
I get it now.
Exactly. However, I will be it. I did say in terms of, like, you know, those fish that, like, go up the shallow rivers and stuff to, like, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. Whatever they do when it gets cold or warm or whatever they do, and these start going up the rivers or whatever. Yeah, they probably hit the head then because they're probably smashing into a bunch of rocks in shallow water. But in the ocean, I don't see it.
See, the thing is, like, at first, like, the main issue wasn't that you're saying that it was unlikely at first. The main issue was that you're saying that throughout history you think that it's never happened, and we asked you this several times. Like,
this was the point I had, where he said from
even
the
it feels
beginning of time, he thought a fish has never
in the ocean,
bumped its head
like,
in the ocean.
even if it is a 0.0000, even though they're still going, there
From
have
the
been so many fish throughout
beginning of
history
time.
that at least one of them has had to have hit its head.
That must be some... what would you even call that? Head protection. Like, what? Why would... Alright, so yeah, I get that. Like, why... From the beginning of time, I mean, fish bump into each other. You know what I mean? Even if there's nothing around.
This is the problem I had, Connor. I don't know if your argument has changed, but the problem I had, he said to me, it's like, oh no, there's some other ways. Like, you know how dumb fish are.
And do you know how fast some fish swim? Like, they don't have time to get out of the way sometimes.
Well, I feel like we're arguing to break. Connor, what's your perspective on this now?
Yeah.
What is my perspective on this now?
Yeah,
I think
how was
that
this change?
fish have bumped their head throughout, since the beginning of time. It's probably happened, maybe once or twice,
Once or twice. How many times, Connor, do you think a fish has bumped its head since the beginning of time? I want your honest answer on this.
Oh, it's
Bro,
probably
okay, Simba, that's an unfair
from
question.
the beginning of time, probably countless, because that's a bit of a wild amount of time.
That's a lot of fish, That's a lot of fish.
That being said, I think in the middle of the ocean, it is more unlikely that a fish is going to bump its head, especially on the scenarios that you idiots were trying to bring up. Saying, a rock starts falling from the top of the ocean and it lines up with a fish swimming and hits it on the head. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
See, the thing is, you're saying that, but, like, at the same time, that's literally happening with turtles getting their head stuck in the Coke can, like in the can containers.
Turtles are tiny and don't have the same sensory, like, systems that fish do.
What do you mean?
The only rebuttal I have to that. You guys know there's in ancient Greece there's a guy who died because a fucking eagle dropped a turtle on its head.
Yeah.
What?
The eagle thought that his head was a rock because it was so shiny because he was bald, and so tried to drop the turtle onto it because, I want to break open this turtle shell.
Smash
Well, I mean,
the skull and die.
Wow.
That is dropping it in air, though. Like, things in air move faster than they do in water, obviously.
Bro, but Connor,
And as I
swim
said
fast,
about,
but
like,
fish
when I
can-
was thinking about, like, the whole water thing, like, if you tried to, like, you tried to pick up, like, you drop a coin in, like, a bathtub or something and tried to pick it up, bruh. Like, you're going to have quite an interesting time trying to get that back. There's just certain things that are more difficult
What
to...
do you mean? It's not that hard. You just pick up the coin.
Pick up-
What?
No, like,
coin.
when it's in motion, it's just, not like a coin. I can't think. Like, if something...
You have arthritis.
The objects are basically more difficult to like pick up, it seems.
Okay, I'm going to sound like a really like a scientist for a second. Connor's trying to say that light, neutrally buoyant objects are hard to grab because of Brownian motion, where if you move your hand towards them, the water particles will cause it to move out of the way, is what he's trying to say.
That is what I'm trying to say, surprisingly.
However, Connor, fish swim very fast, so if they swim into a rock,
But they
Then-
swim very fast, and the rock... the rock isn't, though.
The rock isn't swimming.
How fast is the rock actually going to be falling? They have rockets strapped to the back of it.
no, Connor, that's what I'm saying. But like, ignore like rock's movement. Like the rock can just be sitting there, just chilling in the water, not moving at all. But the fish, not paying too much attention, swims very fast into that rock.
It's gonna be,
Fish.
like,
It might not have
It
time.
the rock probably has more IQ than the fish. So yeah.
yeah, fish are stupid, but like I said, like the sensory stuff, that's just survival shit. Like, it's not just gonna smash its head into it at like
Bro,
top speed.
Connor, as advanced as humans are, you've hit your head on a wall
Yeah.
which you've opened. I'm pretty sure a fish
Humans are
can swim
advanced,
into a
but
rock.
like animals have better like survival instincts, man.
But why are we at the top of the food chain, though?
Oh, bro, do you want to dive down below and see how you handle with like giant
Bro,
octopuses and
guns are
stuff?
OP.
I don't fuck with
You wanna
Don't
see
even-
how
don't
high
stop
you are?
talking about it.
You want to see how high you are on the food chain? Then
Oh, I don't like the taste of octopus, so I'm good.
the taste.
Connor,
that's
even
gonna
a giant
piss me
octopus
off.
feel like human beings. Like, if we really wanted to, we've created nukes, so we can just boot that thing out of existence if we really wanted to.
Nah, I don't eat
So-
it.
Along with half a continent.
It's under the ocean in pitch black where light can't
Bro,
get
we
to.
can nuke the ocean. I believe in human.
You ain't
I
nuking
believe in
anything.
humanity's potential.
You ain't got coordinates, bro.
Bro, we can put a tracker on it. Like, we can sacrifice one person to put a tracker on it. It's fine. There are like 7 billion of the people. We can sacrifice one.
Bro, I don't trust giant octopus.
Why not, Simba?
I just feel like they're too powerful. They're too strong. I feel like
Cthulhu incarnate. That's why he doesn't trust it.
I just feel like they're waiting. They're waiting for something, and then it's gonna happen,
See, that's your survival instinct.
and we'll never be ready for it.
For the giant octopus attack.
Yeah.
It won't
No one
be
was
an
ready.
attacker. Assumes we'll be able to defend ourselves. It'll be an assassination.
It'll be an annihilation.
You go to sleep and then you won't wake up again because the Squids would have won. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you would like to know when we drop more content, you can go check out the Twitter that I linked before. But if you didn't hear it before, it's twitter.com/unverishow. That's UNVERIFSHOW. Unverif show. If you want to check us in the motion live while it's happening, you can head up to twitch.tv with the same username. We play video games there. Depending on when this podcast came out, we either just played Uno or GTA Golf. I can't keep track anymore, man. It's just time moves too fast. We're all stuck at home. Every
There's no
day is the
gist.
same right now. So, Lord Jesus, yeah. We'll see you whenever we do another one of these, which is probably in 2 weeks from now if we do our jobs correctly. But you know us. You know
Should have
us.
told them that.
You know us. We're on time. And I may have clairvoyance and know what next week's episode's about, but you didn't hear that from me.
Whoa.
Anyways, I hope you
Be
enjoyed.
psychic up in
And
here.
I'll see you in the.
Simba is dying.
Simba's dead.
And that's why my wife left me.